What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today is day 3 with Steve. Hello again, Steve.
Hey, Bobby.
And his beautiful, what we believe to be one of one, Rallye Red, gold stripe, gold interior, 455, 4-speed, 1970 Oldsmobile 442 W30. This car, I've only seen, I think I've seen a Sherwood green one and a black one with the gold stripes. I can't remember what the interior colors were, but this car is a very, very unique color combination. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So as you mentioned, it's Rallye Red, which was a special order color for 1970. And if you actually look in the Oldsmobile, the PIM, gold was not a recommended stripe color for Rallye Red. The recommended stripe colors were white and black, and that's what you typically see with Rallye Red. A lot of Rallye Red cars with either a white stripe and white interior or black stripe, black interior. It was not a recommended color, so we believe this is probably a special order from the factory in this color combination. Now, the car did not look like this originally. It was originally a stripe delete car with a gold vinyl top, and when the car was restored starting in 1986, the second owner, who I bought the car from, elected to delete the vinyl top and add the stripes. So I happen to like this look a lot better than the original look with a vinyl top and stripe delete.
Yeah, it's definitely unique. And
yeah.
Rallye Red, I mean, this paint color has a lot of orange in it.
It does.
It definitely lends to the uniqueness of the look.
Mm-hmm.
So now, how many miles were on the car when you bought it?
I believe around 93,000 were on the car.
Wow.
When I bought it, and I only bought it about 2 months ago.
Okay.
I bought it at the end of August. Yeah.
Wow, very, very cool. Any idea where the car came from?
Oh yeah, I know. I have a lot of the history. So I bought it from a gentleman named Jim Brown out in Portland, Oregon, and his father happened to own Bob Brown Oldsmobile in Portland, Oregon. So his dad owned the Oldsmobile dealership. Jim, when he was younger, used to work at his dad's dealership. He used to work in the body shop. So this car was sold new from Bob Brown Olds in 1970, and Jim happened to be having lunch one day while he was working in the shop. The shop was on the second floor of the building, and they used to sit, as I understand the story, he used to sit in the windows and have lunch and watch the cars down below, and saw this car come in one day and just absolutely fell in love with it and said, if I'm gonna buy a car, that's the car. And this is when he was 16 years old. That's the car that I want to get. And serendipitously, the original owner traded the car in 1975, and that's when Jim acquired the car. So he bought the car in 1975 for $750.
Wow.
And he maintained ownership of the car for the last 45 years.
Wow.
And then just decided to part with it. And I reached out, built a relationship with Jim, and we were able to make a deal on it.
Wow, that's incredible. Now, I mean, stories like that always blow my mind. I know $750 in 1975 was still a lot of money. I'll throw a little conversion down at the bottom of the screen here. But like even in the 80s and 90s, you hear stories about guys buying 426 Hemis for $1,000 and W30s for $500. I mean, the car deals that could be had back in the day are just absolutely insane.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, the car's appreciated significantly over the last 45 years, that's for sure.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So now, what work have you done to the outside of the car?
So the outside, just a few cosmetic things. I put brand new stainless steel factory correct trim rings on the SS2s. They are painted the correct argent gray. I do have 4 brand new old stock bolt-on center caps, compliments of the previous owner Jim, who sent them to me. Every couple of weeks I come home and find a new package from Jim. He's really a great guy. He sends me a lot of stuff for the car as he finds it in his garage.
That's awesome.
I've upgraded the headlights and put the factory reproduction T3s, because my goal is to keep the car 100% factory correct. few little trim pieces here and there, but the biggest investment so far has been a full wet sand and buff of the 30-year-old paint. So the car was painted around 89. I think it was wrapped up around 1990. It was a very high quality single stage paint job, but it had a little bit more orange peel than I would like. So I had a friend, Antonio Zapata, here in Naugatuck. He's a painter and body guy. He had the car for a week, did a full wet sand and 3-stage buff on the car to really rejuvenate the paint, and as you can tell, it just looks absolutely gorgeous. So the next big project, well, there's 2 big projects. From now that the outside is looking fairly decent, I'm going to move to the interior. The interior is a little bit tired, so I have a full Legendary interior on order. And Steve Minori and I are going to work on the engine compartment over the winter. We're probably going to pull the motor, repaint the engine, reseal it, make sure everything in the engine compartment is 100% factory correct, and then put everything back together.
Very nice.
The one other project that I have for the exterior is, now that the paint has been corrected, some of the body gaps aren't completely perfect on here. You can see particularly on this side of the hood, the gaps are a little bit off. It's going into the shop next week, and we're going to adjust all the body gaps to make them, like they were from the factory.
Very nice. So now 67, 68, this is the 70.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it really shows your passion for Oldsmobiles. I mean, I sort of consider Oldsmobiles kind of like Lay's potato chips. You can't have just one.
Yes.
So in the chronological order, I guess, what made you want to go with a 70?
I've always liked the look of the 70 to 72 body style. I mean, the muscular hips on the rear quarters are just, to me, incredibly sexy. So I always knew that I wanted to expand my collection at some point to a 70 to 72 body style. But being friends with Steve Minori, I really fell in love with his W31, and I knew that at some point, when I could afford it, I would want to invest in a W car. And I shared that desire with Steve, since he has a direct line to almost everybody in the United States that has a W car. And out of complete coincidence, Jim Brown, the previous owner, had reached out to Steve to do a rocket report on the car and authenticate the car. But during that process, he let Steve know that he was thinking about putting the car up for sale. And when I told Steve that I was interested in maybe acquiring a W car, a 4-speed, because my other two Oldsmobiles are automatics, I wanted a 4-speed car. Steve said that he knew of one out in Portland that could potentially be going up for sale, but it was kind of a bizarre color combination, Rallye Red with gold. So initially I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. Maybe I want to wait around for something else. And then I started thinking about it, and I'm like, this sounds like a kind of a cool color combination. So at that point, I didn't know Jim. I saw Jim was a member of the Oldsmobile Club of America page on Facebook, and he had posted a feature on this car saying that he had owned it for 45 years, really thoroughly enjoyed it, but was thinking about selling it. And when I saw that post, I put 2 and 2 together. Reflecting back on my conversation with Steve, I said, this has to be the car that Steve was talking about. So I sent Jim a PM, and a couple days later, Jim contacted me, and we were able to talk about the car and actually come up with a deal.
That's incredible. And I mean, like we've said a couple of times, I can't get over this color combination. It's definitely unique. I mean, I certainly wouldn't be surprised if it was a 1 of 1. It's super sharp. I mean, unusual for sure, but this is absolutely incredible to look at. It's sort of similar to like the high impact colors for Mopar.
Mm-hmm. I
mean, this is just such an eye-grabbing color, and especially with the gold stripes, it definitely grabs your eyes.
It absolutely is. And like I said, I'm connected with quite a few Oldsmobile experts thanks to Facebook, and those experts know of Rallye Red cars with black and white stripes. One person in particular up in Massachusetts knows and can remember, and this guy was a mechanic, so he worked on these cars, knows of a Rallye Red with an exterior gold stripe but a black interior. And I think there's also one person out in the Colorado area that has seen at one of the shows Rallye Red gold stripe black interior car at one of the shows. Nobody knows of one with a gold interior, so that's why we think this one is pretty unique.
That's awesome. So now, you haven't owned the car for that long. Tell me about the day you got it. What was that feeling like?
Oh, it was incredible. I still have video of the car being rolled off of the carrier. We used intercity lines to transport it across country, and they did a great job. And just, you know, hearing this thing, you know, the aggressive 328-degree cam on the 4-speed W30, hearing it idling, watching it being loaded onto the truck, and then experiencing the carrier unload it here in Connecticut was just incredible. To see it roll off the truck and to see that Rallye Red, it was just exhilarating knowing that. And I couldn't believe that, you know, I'm actually the new owner of this beautiful piece of history.
That's awesome.
And I'm so lucky because Jim did a great job at preserving it all these years. So I feel like with all my cars, I'm just the caretaker. You know, I'm definitely not the last owner. And my job is to make these cars, to bring them back to factory as much as I can before I pass them on to the next owner.
That's awesome. So you mentioned the way the car sounds. Can you fire it up?
Yeah, absolutely.
I love the brown Olds little tag you got there.
Yeah, I have a lot of memorabilia. Maybe when we get back we can go into the garage and I can show you some of the history that I got with the car.
Yeah.
I have pictures of Jim when he was 16 years old, washing the car in his driveway in the rain. I guess he was pretty fanatical about the car.
Yeah.
And used to wash it almost every day.
Wow.
So, nothing like the look of that outside air induction hood.
Yeah,
right?
I know.
It's something that I desired for a long time.
Yeah.
Never thought I would own one of these cars, so I'm really humbled to own this one.
So now this is a Muncie 4-speed, right? Do you know which one it is?
Yeah, this is the M20.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, do you know which, was there like a year where they switched over, or was it like the 442s got the...
No, I think it was an option. So there was the M20 and the M22. One was a close ratio, one was the wide ratio. I'm not quite sure which is which, but the M22 is I believe it's a heavier duty transmission.
Yep.
So this one has a little get up and go.
Yeah, for sure.
Not quite as much as the 67, but for a stock 455,
yeah,
this one definitely has some giddy up.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, I still have quite a bit of work to do on the suspension. You can feel like, you know, it's a little bit soft. It doesn't handle as well as the 67. So I'm going to do some suspension work. I'm going to do a little bit more motor work. The interior, the legendary interior is on order. Hopefully I'll have that in February or March. I'm going to go through, probably going to remove the dashboard, repaint all this. Console is going to be all redone. So a year from now the car is going to look completely different.
Nice. And again, back to the
Yeah.
dash badge here. It is tricolor, but it is the different it is the different font there. That's pretty cool.
They moved away from the tricolor in '67, so I was wrong. I had forgotten that 442 is tricolor.
Do you know what clutch is in this?
I do not. No. No, I know it was the clutch was replaced around, I believe, 2006.
Okay.
So it's pretty good. I think the flywheel may need to be resurfaced. I do get a little bit of a chatter, but there is a bit of a learning curve involved with driving this car.
Yep.
You know, the more I drive it, the more I'm successful in being able to eliminate that chatter.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of how quickly you release the clutch. Yeah, still going through this car a bit, and you know, working out the gremlins. I'm reluctant to beat on it too much.
Yep.
Because it's still a little bit skittish. Like I said, I've been stranded a couple times with it as I work through the gremlins. All minor things, nothing major. But I don't want to break anything until I've had a chance to thoroughly go through it.
Yeah. Yeah, and hopefully by the time all that's said and done, you're not gonna break it,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Oh, and look at this. I didn't even see this before. The shoulder belts.
Yes. And there's a...
Now, do you know what rear gear this is?
This is a 342. It's a Code TM rear differential, and it's actually not that bad on the highway. I've taken it on the highway, and it's pretty comfortable on the highway. Now, I could definitely use another gear, but I wouldn't hesitate to take this on a longer trip.
So, like, if you're going at highway speed, what RPM are you turning?
On this car, it's around 3,500.
Okay.
Yeah, between 3,000 and 3,500 to stay with traffic at around 65 miles an hour. Tires on here, you know, these 14-inch rims with 70 series tires, but it's still, the rolling diameter is fairly small. I think if I were to put a bigger tire on here, that would help, but I want to keep everything really factory correct.
Right.
So I'll just live with the higher RPMs and the smaller rolling diameter tire.
The suspension feels pretty well sorted.
Yeah, it's not too bad. I did replace the coil springs, so I used Eaton Detroit springs. I have changed the shocks because when I got the car, the hydraulic shocks were completely dead.
Yep.
So I replaced those with KYB gas adjusts. So it doesn't feel too bad. The front springs I'll probably replace, but I didn't want the car to sit too high. I wanted to start with the rear springs, and it took me 2 tries to get the right height from Eaton. But the good thing about Eaton is everything is returnable. Now you have to pay a small restocking fee, but they're willing to work with you until you get the height that you're comfortable with.
Right, that's good.
And gives you the best aesthetic look. So at this point, I got the rear correct. I think the front is sitting maybe a ½ an inch too low, and these springs are probably a little bit soft, so I'll probably, when I do the front suspension work, I'll probably replace the coil springs then.
And just nothing like big block torque.
You could understand how insurance rates on these cars were sky high in the 70s, right?
Oh yeah.
And I think unfortunately, you know, teenagers were hurt and killed in these cars because they are just so incredibly powerful. You can imagine driving this in the rain and it really getting away from you.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why the insurance rates went through the roof, because of cars like this.
Yeah.
Really a powerful car.
Yeah, and then in '71, not only did they switch the way that they were reporting power numbers for engines, that was also the first year that they started choking down big V8s for emissions reasons.
Yep.
And for fuel consumption reasons. So I mean, this was really the big bad olds, if you will.
This was, I believe, the first year where GM lifted the displacement cap for the mid-size cars.
Yep.
So the 455 was available in the 442. Now you could get it in 68 and 69, but only in the Hurst Olds.
Right. So that is going to be all for this video. Steve, this car is absolutely incredible. I mean, if this car is one of one, which I mean, I'd be confident that it is. I mean, it's just what an amazing opportunity. Thank you so much for taking all this time with me, looking at all of your cars, not just this one. I mean, it's really cool to see someone who's got a bunch of Oldsmobiles willing to talk about these cars and willing to share all of this knowledge and really help the community and help other people who don't know a lot about these cars to learn more about them and really show them off. I mean, this is definitely one of the coolest cars I think I'll ever film, just because of the rarity of the color combination alone.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that it's a W30 with a 4-speed, I mean, that just adds to the cool factor. So thank you so much for taking the time to review your cars with me. I really, really appreciate it.
Well, thanks for coming out. I really appreciate you taking the time. And you know, like I said before, I feel like, you know, I'm just the caretaker of these cars. So I feel like it's my obligation to share what I know, to show them off to other people, get other people interested in the sport, particularly the younger generation. And very, very grateful to own 3 of these beauties. And thanks for coming out and filming them for me. Yeah,
so we'll have to come back out and look at the car once you're done doing all of the all the rest of the restorative stuff.
Yeah, I would say about a year from now.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome. Really looking forward to it. So that is it for this video. If you like this video, please click the like button down below. If you want to see more stuff like this, please click the subscribe button and click the notification bell so that way you get notified every time I post a new video. And if you know anybody with a car like this, or if you've got a car like this and want to show it off on the channel, please use the contact information down below to get in touch with me. That's all for now. I'll see you next time.